is commanded while the Honorable Brian K. Mills, Chief Judge of the Portsmouth Juvenile Domestic Relations Court, is presiding. Please bow your heads. God save this Commonwealth and this honorable court. You may be seated.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the Portsmouth Juvenile Domestic Relations District Court, it's my pleasure to welcome everyone here. And I understand there may be some people in a satellite location. Hello? Perhaps it's on the internet too, I don't know. At any rate, it's a real pleasure to welcome you to Miss Diane, Griffin's Investiture. And I want to take a moment of personal privilege and officially transfer the title of newest judge on the Portsmouth Juvenile to Judge Griffin. However, based on her 17 years as a substitute judge, I will keep the title of least experienced on the bench, at least for now. I want to thank Judge Holder for letting us use her courtroom yet again. I was telling Judge Willis, it seemed like only yesterday we were here for another investiture, since time certainly does fly. All right, without further ado, I'd like to call on the Reverend Stephen A. Frazier to lead us in the invocation.
You know, we always stand when a judge comes into court. Well, friends, the true judge of humankind has called us to this place, and I invite you to stand for the invocation. God of grace and God of glory, we give you thanks for the goodness of this day, for the opportunity to celebrate our dear friend, to remember the call of justice, the call of peace, the call of compassion. We pray that all of us here may have open hearts and open ears and open eyes to see your goodness that surrounds us. We don't plead for your presence, Lord. We ask only that we might be more aware of your leading and your great call to life and to fairness for all people. Lord, we come from many traditions, some many faiths, yet we remember that life is a gift from your hand. And so in your holy name, we pray. Amen. Amen.
And now with the most difficult job of the afternoon, and the thank you indeed, I'd like to ask Judge William S. Moore to come up and recognize our dignitaries.
Good afternoon. I've got the job, of course, everybody hopes they never get asked to do. So I'll do my best. And Diane, I'll say, looking out at this audience, you'll have a chance later. You brought all the stars out. This is quite a nice group. First, I'll show you the federal court. I think we have Chief Judge Rebecca Smith here. Just raise your hand and we'll save the welcome to the very end. I did have a note here, Judge Davis, a former circuit court judge and federal court judge. There's a little note by his RSVP. He says, unless a truck runs over. But unfortunately, he had something worse happen. He had a trial come today. All right, from behalf of the Portsmouth courts, we have me. Judge Melvin is out of town. And we have the long-sitting circuit court judge in the state of Virginia, not the oldest, Judge Johnny Morrison. And we have Judge Joel Crow. We have Chief Judge Doug Obinger of the General District Court. We have his boss, Roxy Holder, Judge Roxy Holder. And we have Chief Judge Brian Mills, and his boss, Judge Elizabeth Willis, and my former boss. And we have with us, I'll put in this group, Mrs. Barbara Mobley, the widow of the late Paul Mobley. And we have retired judges, our former circuit court and retired court of appeals Judge Richard Bray, Judge James Hawks, Judge Norman Aliski, circuit court judge, Norman, retired Judge Pearsall, Farm Pearsall, and retired Judge Stephen Swords, and retired Judge Dennis McMurray. In this great city of Chesapeake, we have Judge Rufus Banks, our new circuit court judge. And we have Judge Robert McDonald from the Juvenile District Court. He's in the back. Gave the longest closing argument I've ever heard as a juvenile court judge. Judge David Whitty, and Judge Eileen Old. The great city of Norfolk, we have Mary Jane Hall. And we have Judge Jack Jewell. I'll introduce his wife a little bit later in the program. Judge Robert Smith from Norfolk. And from Suffolk, we have Judge Ward Eason. Judge Al Bates, District Court. Judge Matthew Glassman, and another new judge, Stan Clark. And we have way in the back a colleague of Judge Crowe and ours for a long time in juvenile court, all the way from Warren County. We have Judge William Sharp. You'll recognize him with his bow tie at the reception. And we have from the 32nd District, Acromac, Judge Gordon. Then we have a list of distinguished guests. This group of those people that make our court system work. We have Cynthia Morrison, our clerk of the circuit court. There's Cynthia. We have clerk of the juvenile court, my former clerk, and her staff, Lois Furnish, and our staff is all seated there today. And we have also Bonnie Coffey, one of my old clerks. He's a clerk now of Chesapeake Juvenile Domestic Relations Court. Mr. James Bergeron of the Portsmouth Juvenile District Court, and we're supposed to have our retired clerk of the District Court, Jody Davis. There she is. All right, and President Ryan. And we have the next group for those persons that make our city work. We have Councilwoman Lisa Lucas Burton. She's back there. We have Councilwoman Elizabeth Simmons. And we have coming off the landslide victory in the city of Norfolk, we have Courtney Dole, Councilwoman. Raise your hand, Courtney. And we have Dr. Lydia Patton, Solomon Aspey, the city attorney, he's in the back. We have Lancelot James, the Portsmouth Probation and Parole, the new director. Amanda Wimwood, Portsmouth Community Corrections. And those persons that make our court system work around here, we have introduced the clerk. We have Stephanie Morales, the Portsmouth City Commonwealth Attorney. And we have Phil Ferguson, the Suffolk Commonwealth Attorney. Brenda Scribe, the Portsmouth Public Defender, and her staff. Nancy Ford, the Chesapeake Commonwealth Attorney's Office. And some constitutional officers. We have Paige Cherry, the treasurer. We have my older brother, Sheriff Michael Moore. And we have representing our mayor, Ms. Carol Rowe. John is out of town, and I see her back there. Okay. And I think I have got one more group. And I will say we have the people that run our state, our General Assembly delegate. We have Senator Eloise Lucas, who I had the privilege of serving with, and Delegate Stephen Heritage, who took over my old district. And Brian's job now is to introduce who I forgot. Everybody, can you whisper? All right, give everybody a warm welcome.
Now I'd like to call on our friend Tony Nicolo to deliver what will hopefully be some appropriate remarks.
May it please the court, presiding Judge Beals, Judge Willis, Portsmouth City judges past and present, visiting judges, Senator Lucas, the lead heretic, honored dignitaries, the Griffin and Pomeroy families, and friends. Good afternoon and welcome. A lot of familiar faces. Mr. Griffin, I'm surprised to see you here. On time. I woke up this morning with a sense of dread that you were going to call the clerk and say, could you please drop this down? I'm running a little late. I don't know. I bet you most of the lawyers in this courtroom have never seen you at the opening cry of "Oh yeah, oh yeah." All kidding aside. We are very privileged to have with us today Mr. and Mrs. Pomeroy, Bob and Carol, known them for many years. Mr. and Mrs. Pomeroy are a military family. Mr. Pomeroy is retired Air Force. Diane traveled a lot. This proceeding is as much a testament to them as it is to Diane. You gave us a remarkable woman. Also here today, besides Earl, is Diane and Earl's son, Richard, a professional firefighter, and his lovely bride, new bride, Catherine. Diane wants you to know that missing the ceremony today are their daughter, Dr. Carrie Griffin, physician, who is in Thailand on sabbatical from her medical practice until next month. And her brothers, Bob, a retired attorney from Denver, Colorado, and David, a noted musician, and a union president in Nashville, Tennessee. Bob and Dave were here in April for their father's 92nd birthday. In June for Richard and Catherine's wedding. And they'll return in November for their mother's 90th birthday. And the first decision displaying her legal acumen, Judge Griffin excused them from appearing in court. What are the qualities we look for in a judge? Patience and temperament, civility, intelligence and common sense, compassion and fairness, empathy and sympathy, both open-mindedness and adherence to the law and the doctrine of stare decisis. Our newest judge is abundantly in possession of all of these attributes. Today is a special day as we welcome Diane Pomeroy Griffin to the Juvenile Domestic Relations District Court bench for our city. I don't pretend to know everything about Diane, but when she asked me to make some brief comments, and I apologize if they're not, she persuasively told me, well, Tony, no one in this city knows me as long as you. And she's right. Honored to be asked, I agree. Now, the clerks have told me that this is not a roast. The clerks in juvenile court have reminded me, and I appreciate that. Seeing as Diane knows most of the good that's happened in my life, and a whole lot of the bad, I think I'm going to keep a truce, and we will not roast you. However, Diane does not know what I'm going to say, and I know that it makes her uncomfortable to be the focus. So I apologize in advance for that. I met Diane Catherine Pomeroy in September of 1974, when we began our first year of law school at William and Mary. She was one of the first people who befriended me. I was hundreds of miles from home. I left my fiancee, Dory Thompson, back in the Bronx, and I had just gone to see the movie The Paper Chase. You lawyers remember the movie The Paper Chase? What a horrible agony. I was scared to death. But I was struck by Diane's poise and self-confidence. But as I came to learn, that was no surprise, because Diane, or Diz, as I call her, as her friends call her, she was a member of the first class to admit women as freshmen at the University of Virginia. She successfully negotiated that challenge, majoring in sociology, and she graduated with distinction at UVA. Noted author Joseph Conrad wrote, "Being a woman is a terribly difficult task, since it principally consists in dealing with men." No such impediment existed for Diz, and I quickly realized how proudly independent and fiercely strong-minded she was. She was simply proud to be a woman. At William and Mary, we formed a very close group of friends, good friends, most of them who are present today. I often say that friends are the family that we choose. Our friendships have sustained us then and through the years, and we all remain close to this very day. Among us, we have, as you heard Judge Moore say, Judge William Sharp from Front Royal, accompanied by his wife Barbara, I think. Here she is. He's a juvenile court judge from Front Royal. He and I share a birthday, and we celebrated them every year in law school, February 4th. We had Robin Gulick, prominent attorney from Warrant. We each call each other affectionately the Senator. Afterwards, if you ask us, we'll tell you why. We have Jim and Nell Booker. Jim is now a retired attorney. I think you got there before Darrell and I did. Nell is a nurse, and a darn good one. Nell was instrumental in assisting and mentoring Dr. Carrie Griffin as she pursued her medical education. We have Darrell and Nancy Sayre, my longtime law partner, who was a classmate of ours and has been a close friend for Diane since law school up to this very day. Sadly missing today are Frank Willard, who was older than us and was an accountant before attending law school. He passed away a couple of years ago. Also notable and conspicuous in their absence today are Tom and Renge Watkins. Tom was a career public defender, serving as the public defender for the cities of Franklin and Hampton. His wife, Rennie, was a music teacher who sang like an angel. Played piano pretty good, too. When Tom and Rennie were pregnant with their only daughter, Erin, Diane was asked to stand as Erin's godmother. When Rennie passed away, Tom asked Diane to officiate the memorial service. When Tom passed away, Erin, her godchild, asked her to officiate Tom's memorial service. They are all too soon gone. To Diane and all of those that I have mentioned, my good friends from law school who sustained me, I tell you that, to paraphrase Sir Paul, you and I have memories longer than the road that stretches out ahead. Diane has always been strident in her ideology, particularly in her belief of equality for all, regardless of race, creed, or gender. I mentioned gender lastly, not because it's the least important, but perhaps it's the least remembered. She has lived her life in service of those who are disadvantaged, discriminated against, oppressed, victimized, and least able to avail themselves of their rights in our system. Her first employment after graduating, passing the bar, was as a staff attorney for the Portsmouth branch of the Tottenham Legal Aid Society. She honed her skills advocating for the poor and the necessities. When she was invited to interview for that position, she called me and my first wife, Dory, who I don't know if she's here. There you are. She asked if she could stay with us up in Churchland, which she did. I was working as an assistant to Jack Hales at the time, along with Darrell. Darrell and I were roommates. We shared an office. When offered that position, she accepted it. Ed Pontifac offered it to her. I don't know if it's here. It said that a factor in her decision was that many of the close friends that I had previously mentioned lived in Portsmouth and Norfolk and Virginia Beach. When Diz decided to leave legal aid, she found it challenging to secure a job in private practice because of her gender. There were very few women attorneys in Portsmouth at the time. So she borrowed money from her parents, opened an office as a solo practitioner, and the rest is history. And it's been a great history. She chose as her phone number 397-1776. I could never forget it. And I thought she did it because, you know, we were in Williamsburg and all that colonial stuff. And in fact, she did it as a symbol of her own Declaration of Independence. At William and Mary, she was a member of the Women's Bar Association, aptly named the Mary and William Society. Naturally, she was a founder of the Tidewater Women's Bar Association, formed soon after entering private practice. She remains a member of the board of directors of the successor group, the Virginia Women's Bar Association. I must interject that Mr. Sayre and I were two charter male members of the Tidewater Women's Bar Association. I recall Diz calling me. Errol, you've probably heard this before, right? Tony, I received your applications. Is this a joke or are you both serious? When I said it was legitimate, she said, well then, we welcome you. The next meeting is in 2 weeks. We'll see you then. Diane is the epitome of selfless service to this community. She was named Outstanding Professional Woman in 1983 by a local bank that has merged and merged again, and I don't know what it is anymore. When photos were taken of all the honorees, Diane brought 4-month-old Carrie on her knee. She was nominated for the 1989 Governor's Award for Volunteering Excellence. She was president of the Portsmouth Bar Association in 1992-1993. She has been presented a plaque for outstanding community service in helping victims of the domestic violence by the Health and Emergency Response Shelter, commonly known as the HERS Shelter. Diane was one of the founders of this group, along with Elaine Weitzman and Gail Tiesinger. Carrie, who was very young, was taken by Diane in her formative years to all of these early meetings. Then Lieutenant Governor Tim Kaine has acknowledged her in a certificate of recognition for outstanding community leadership and service to the city of Portsmouth. She has served on the Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority Board of Directors for 10 years, serving as chair in her last year. She is currently on the board for the Beasley Foundation. Judge Bray is here, as is one of his employees. A local philanthropy, and my wife works for Judge Bray, and they're both here, and I appreciate Marie's help in putting this together with Diane. She has been commended for her volunteer service to the Girls Inc. Center for Youth of Southeast Hampton Roads, and was named a strong, smart, and bold honoree. She has served as chair on the City Council's William B. Spong Jr. Charter Review Commission. By the way, Senator Spong, who's our senator, was also our dean at William and Mary. Good man. She has volunteered for the Friends of the Portsmouth Juvenile and Domestic Relations District Court. She is currently the moderator of the Presbytery of Eastern Virginia, a member of the First Presbyterian Church in Portsmouth. She was named First Citizen of Portsmouth in 2002. And lastly, as was mentioned before, she has served as a substitute judge for this city for many years of honor and distinction. You should know that Diane is a cancer survivor. While she is one of the most humble people I know, she is quick to relate that after she went into remission, she trained for and competed in 2 half marathons at the Rock and Roll Marathon in San Diego, raising $10,000 for cancer research. Diane is as qualified and deserving of this appointment as any who has enjoyed liberty. All she has done and accomplished in her personal life and her professional career has prepared her for this new chapter in her life. I am proud to call her my friend. One of my best friends. This appointment is not the culmination of a terrifically successful legal career, the beginning of her work helping the children, families, and citizens of Portsmouth as a judge who has the wisdom, power, and the experience to do so. I have asked some of our friends for comments about Diz and her ascension to the bench. Delowe said he recalled a case with her some time ago, which he described as a doozy. He said she was polite and pleasant, but passionate and determined. I recall it, he said, because she fought so hard for her client. Darrell Sayre, my partner, said, she is simply the straw who stirs the drink. Robin Buick said she is the best of us all. The people of Portsmouth are fortunate to have her. Dory Thompson said she captured everyone's heart at William & Mary. She has proven to be a steadfast and genuine friend over the many years since. Her qualities are enduring. Judge Ward Easton said, simply and succinctly, a good person whose integrity is unquestionable. And of course, our good friend, our own Judge James A. Kales Jr., said if she can put up with Earl, she can deal with any attorney. There is a passage from the Talmud that guide the life of folks observing the Jewish faith. I think it's most appropriate. Do not be daunted by the enormity of the world's grief. Do justly now. Love mercy now. Walk humbly now. You are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to abandon it. Lastly, I will close by saying something I have never, ever said in open court before. I love you, Judge. Good luck.
Thank you, Tony. Those were more than appropriate. All right, I'd like to ask Senator Lucas, Delegate Heretic, and Delegate Lindsay, who just joined us. They'd like to make the presentation of this commission.
May it please the court. I promise not to trespass on your time very long because Anthony Nicola has taken up most of what I was going to say. I was sitting there with Steve Herrick's pens and I was striking through so much of what I was going to say because he had it all in his notes. But to the honoree and our friend, Diane Griffin, to Mr. and Mrs. Pomeroy, Earl Griffin, used to be my father's lawyer about 40 years ago. Other distinguished judges of the courts, officers of the courts, guests assembled, good evening. It is indeed an honor for me to have the opportunity to make remarks on behalf of Diane Griffin at this investiture ceremony. And foremost, for many reasons, but among them is the fact that she has an outstanding reputation as a lawyer. Everybody knows that. And when I called around to talk to people when we were doing the interviews, One of the people I called was, and I called him Bishop, was the Reverend Dr. Melvin O'Mariner. And he said, girl, you couldn't get a better lawyer. Well, I can say to you that that's the kind of remarks that we've gotten from most of the people that we've talked to. And there was no question in our mind after we went through the interview process that Diane Griffin was indeed the person to be nominated to this bench. And you know, I said that this should have happened 20 plus years ago because there was no white female on the bench. But had we done that then, we would have missed the opportunity for all of the services that you provided to the city. And of them was her affiliations with numerous groups and organizations that provide services to women, youth, and families. This has been a lifelong endeavor for Diane, just to name a few. Past president of Girls Inc., past president and founder of Health and Emergency Response, past president, board member for the Portsmouth Area Resource Coalition and Services for Homeless and Needless People, past member, United Way of Southampton Roads, past president and member of the board of directors for the Portsmouth Partnership for 19 years. And of course, it's already been mentioned that she was a friend of the court. But I would be remiss if I didn't remind you also that she was also the 2002 first citizen of Portsmouth. Diane, we appreciate the work you have done on behalf of the city of Portsmouth and know you will continue to serve the city well and with distinction. As we, me in particular, the first African-American woman to be elected to city council in Portsmouth and the first African-American woman to be elected to the Senate of Virginia from Portsmouth, I often am in a position to do the first of a lot of things. But it is my distinct honor to participate in this historic investiture ceremony as we induct our first white judge, female. Diane Griffin. I want my two colleagues to say something before I read the commission.
And please the court, assembled guests, I can tell you it is my distinct pleasure to be here today as Diane embarks upon this very, very special journey. I will tell you that Diane has been someone I've been acquainted with for over 25 years, and it comes about in the best way. It's not a situation where someone was introduced to you and they told you how good they were and what their nature of proficiency was. It was a person that you just knew by watching them and saw how they conducted their lives and how they went about their craft, that they had the M factor. So it was very much a matter of great pleasure when I found out that she was one of the people who was being considered for a judgeship, and it was my honor to speak on her behalf in Richmond. And I tell you, it's my honor to be here and to continue to see the work that she has in store of us going forward. Diane.
And may it please the court. One of the prerogatives that we in the General Assembly guard most jealously is the appointment of judges. We are one of the very few states, as many of you know, in the country that do that. In too many states, judges are unfortunately a bit like us. They're politicians who run for office. And sometimes I think that lends itself to perhaps lesser quality. In this particular case, the Portsmouth delegation interviewed every applicant who sought to be appointed to this position. At the end of that extremely long process, Senator Lucas and I looked at each other without hesitation. We arrived at one name without a second thought, and it's that what brings us here today. You know, in my humble estimation, having practiced law for a little while, a judge embodies a certain number of qualities. First, a judge has to be an impeccable attorney. The judge has to understand the law from top to bottom, not only the letter, but the spirit. The judge has to have unquestioned integrity and equanimity. The judge has to have the ability, among all, to heal. And in this particular case, there is no question that those of us who come to celebrate today as a community have chosen exactly the right person for this unique position. It's a great privilege and a great honor to stand here and join with the delegation from the General Assembly to stand as we invest the Honorable Diane Griffin as the next judge of the Portsmouth Juvenile Domestic Relations Court. Thank you for being here.
And now, Commonwealth of Virginia, to all to whom these presents shall come greeting, Know ye that from special trust and confidence reposed in his fidelity, our governor, by virtue of authority vested in him by law, has appointed and hereby commissions the Honorable Diane P. Griffin as a judge of the 3rd Judicial District to serve a term of 6 years commencing July 1, 2018. In testimony hereof, our said governor has hereunto signed his name and affixed the lesser seal of the Commonwealth at Richmond this 19th day of June, 2018, and in the 242nd year of the Commonwealth, and is signed by His Excellency Ralph Northam, Kerry Thomason, Secretary of Commissions. Diane.
Thank you, members of the legislature. I appreciate that. And Mr. Heretic, I assume equanimity is a good thing. I'm not exactly sure what it means, but I assume it's positive. So, thank you for your contribution. I'd like to ask Judge Johnny Morrison and Logan Willis to come forward and perform the administration of the
Before we get into the oath, may it please the court, all invited guests, our honoree and our judge, Diane Griffin, and I have known each other for a long time. She graduated from law school. I graduated the same year from Washington Lee. I went and worked for a Humane Society in North Valley. She worked for our Humane Society. She went to private practice, and after I had semi-gone to private practice, after Judge Kelly got rid of me, she and I both joined the board of the Talent Humane Society and from the board of directors. Her oldest daughter, her oldest child, her daughter, I met her many, many years ago because my oldest daughter had a birthday party for 1 year being 1 year of age. Diane brought her daughter to the party after being invited by my wife. And so look at her daughter is now adopted. Maybe she'll come back home and practice it when she leaves Thailand and start to work those cages. Right now. But we do also have with us Chief Chaplain, Chief of the Police Department, who's very important. She's the only one that can do certain things that we may get locked up for. Ready? Raise your right hand and repeat after me.
I,
Say your name.
Diane Pomeroy, Griffin,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States
the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
of the Commonwealth of Virginia,
and I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge all duties
discharge all duties
incumbent upon me as
incumbent upon me as
a judge of the 3rd Judicial District,
a judge of the 3rd Judicial District
the Juvenile and Domestic Relations District Court,
for the Juvenile and Domestic Relations District Court,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. You already are.
Now I'd like to ask Mr. and Mrs. Richard E. Griffin if they would come forward for the oath.
Goodness. Is this microphone on? Can you hear me?
Okay, now can you hear me? All right. I'm just sending a signal, but my voice is a lot softer than yours. Well, first let me start, wow, look at all of you people out there. I want to start by thanking Tommy for some very heartfelt remarks, all of which are true, particularly with regard to our friends from law school. I'm so heartened that you all are here. It means a great deal. I want to thank the legislators for the confidence and the trust that you have in me. I want to thank my immediate and our extended family for shared love. I want to especially thank my husband Earl, my constant and most stalwart supporter. Thanks to my many friends and to the many, many colleagues I see here today. Thank you so much for being here. Special thanks go to my gal pals, without whom this entire event might have collapsed under logistical overload. But Mrs. Marie Nicolo, on loan from Judge Bray and the Beasley Foundation. Thank you, Marie. Mary Bishop, legal assistant to the circuit judges. Thank you, invaluable. And particularly to attorney and my very special friend, Jennifer Smith. Thank you, Sri. This couldn't have happened without your help. You know, I have, as you probably figured out, been in the legal profession for a long time. And all of us who have been so engaged know, you've either said or you've certainly heard, Your Honor, I'll be brief. And time goes by, and by, and by. But I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon, I'll be brief. Needless to say, I am both humbled and proud to be here today. I was fortunate growing up. Our Air Force family was stationed in many places. My older brother Bob was born in the Philippines. My younger brother David was born in La Bella Napoli in Italy. I snuck in stateside in South Carolina. We lived in Germany, Italy, England, Colorado, and Washington, D.C. Our parents made sure that we visited the site of every historical, geographic, or cultural significance within travel distance from our homes. These opportunities, presented and taken, gave us perspective, and we learned to make friends wherever we landed and to be goodwill ambassadors for our family and for our country. We understood the importance of responsibility and service to community. Thank you, Mom and Dad. When I graduated from law school and passed the bar in the spring of 1978, my parents were stationed in Belgium. I needed a job. Opportunities for young female attorneys were pretty scarce at that time. Ed Pontifex, then managing attorney of the Tidewater Legal Aid Society, took a chance on me, and I was hired as a staff attorney. This was an opportunity presented and taken, and I became part of this community. Thank you, Ed. I don't think you're here, but thank you. I opened a private solo practice of law in 1981. After more than 3 decades, and I'll let you do the math if you really want to, I closed that practice in June of this year. I have tried my best to sustain my work with energy and professionalism. I have tried my best to make lasting, positive contributions for the benefit of all citizens of this city, particularly those whose needs were unarticulated or who were without advocate. The opportunity has now been presented and taken for me to make a different kind of contribution. The work of any court can be complicated and is often difficult. Courts are places of heartbreak, but they are also places of hope. This is especially true in the Juvenile and Domestic Relations Court. Judges are called upon daily to make decisions that affect more than the immediate families they serve. They extend into the persistent and often perplexing societal realms of poverty, education, crime, economics, housing, health, and safety. Judges struggle daily to balance the extremes in human behavior, to reconcile the good and the bad, to weigh information and apply the law, and to make decisions that affect individuals, families, and ultimately shape the community. I am both humbled and grateful for the opportunity to do this work in Portsmouth, which is my adopted home and which I hold dear. I will do my very best to do this work with all the wisdom that I can summon and with compassion for all who stand before me. I will be ever mindful that I now bear the trust of this community in the work that I will do. Thank you for sharing this extraordinary moment with me.
Griffin, and so y'all don't think I'm a total idiot, there's a sign on the button that says, "Do not touch" on the microphone. That was why I didn't push the button. Think outside the box, that's what I like to do. Thank y'all very much. I'd like to ask the Reverend Dr. Melvin O'Mariner, Senior Pastor of Grove Baptist Church, to come forward and lead us in our benediction.
Please accord, proper protocol has been established. Now we stand together for our benediction. Oh God, our supreme ruler, we are indeed grateful for your presence and the opportunity to celebrate with Diane Griffin and her family. Thank you for your generosity, your love, your mercy, your grace. May those of us in this room reflect your love, your light, and your redeeming grace toward others with truth, integrity, and service. God, you've allowed us to assemble ourselves together today to witness this amazing opportunity for Diane through the years of her diligence, her commitment, perhaps her days of uncertainty, and even toil. Her hard work has paid off, for many have witnessed her unwavering commitment to make people better, to make community better, to make her country better. We pray now, Lord, as she assumes this new responsibility, her calling will be one of great responsibility. She stands now on the shoulders of so many people, and so many people will need her honesty, her fairness, her knowledge, her impartiality, justice, and Lord, sometimes even mercy. Therefore, God, we ask that you grant her wisdom to judge, patience to endure, strength to stand, compassion to care, devotion to deliberate, and stamina to finish her journey strong. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to witness a person who cares about everyone assume this new responsibility. We ask for your grace, your mercy, and your unwavering strength as we make our city, our commonwealth, and our country a better place. It is in your name we do pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. to thank everyone for coming. Congratulations again to Judge Griffin. There will be a reception immediately following this, right out in the lobby. We are adjourned.
All right.